And hello, and welcome everyone to the comic multiverse where the worlds of nerd meet. As always, I'm your host, Joel, and joining me is my good buddy, my comrade in comic book crime, and it's Matt.
How you going, Joel?
Oh, good, good, good. Again, man, this Showtime really snuck up on me tonight. I swear sometimes I wait all day for this, and sometimes before I know it, like, oh crap, it's 10 o'clock on Sunday.
Yeah, it comes by really quickly.
It does. And as you were saying too, and we said this last week as well, thank you, of course, to all our stream regulars for coming and checking us out live. We notice a lot of you are trained real well now. We got you trained real good to come right at 10 on Sunday. So you know what that was.
Yeah, and thank you. I think it was Panda Paladin for the
Yes.
follow just now.
Good, good, good name. Yeah, we got all our regulars here, the Waterlord and Michaelis and Tevya, and some new people here too. Party Pug joining us, Louise, some faces I haven't seen in a bit.
Yeah.
Skip Tosh, so real happy to have. Oh, Elmo X came in here as well, right at the very end there. You just got to mention before I have to move and talk to something else. So, how's your week been, Matt?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. We of course had some big news in the comic book industry, which we'll talk about later. So, talking about that with other people has taken up a lot of my week.
Of course, of course. The chat's also talking about this, but we're gonna get through all of that. We're gonna cut through, the conjecture and the rumor mongering because there's tons of it, and we're gonna get to the creamy middle, if you will, of what's going on. But before we do, everyone, we do actually have a sponsor this week, and it's actually quite an interesting sponsor. Matt, you may remember a few weeks back, I said, hey, anyone out there in the comic multiverse fan base, if you have a Kickstarter project or a YouTube channel or a podcast of your own you would like to be promoted, hey, email me and we can talk about it. Slip me some money and we'll get this ball rolling. And someone actually did this week.
Oh, nice.
Indeed. So this episode of the Comic Multiverse has actually been brought to you by the channel Movie Flicks Plus. Nice guy wrote me there wanting me to promote it, and that's exactly what I'm doing now. They do movie and entertainment news, a lot of superhero stuff, but a lot of different stuff as well. I will, of course, link them in the description below so you can check them out. Tell them the Cape Joel and Comic Multiverse sent them your way. I'm looking at their channel now. They got some Bruce Lee content on there. They got some horror movie content on here. Really clean and put together channel. Game respects game, and this channel actually looks pretty good. And even when they wrote me in their email, they did something really good that everyone trying to make a YouTube channel should do. They had all their contact information listed right at the end. That's, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, everything else, Facebook, all there together, so I didn't have to hunt it down myself. Whenever you're doing professional business emails, everyone be sure to do that.
Definitely.
So that's Movie Flicks Plus, 2 words, the word plus. Check them out, and thank you, everyone, for sponsoring the show. And again, if you want to do that, again, my email is on the Cape Joel YouTube channel. Check it out, drop me a line, and we'll work something out. It doesn't always have to be a cash deal. If you've got some video or editing stuff to help make this show better, we can work out a trade if you want. And don't worry, I'll be breaking off Matt a little piece to a bonus in his next pay because he does so much for us in helping keeping this show moving. He's running the tech end right now. You wouldn't be able to see this live if it was not for him. So round of applause for Matt.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
There you go. So with that out of the way, now that the bills have thoroughly been paid for another month, let's hop into the news. Which there wasn't much news, but what there was actually fairly big, and I get the feeling you and I are going to have some long conversations in talking about it. And that piece of news, the piece of news that the chat was already chomping at the bit to talk about, Dan Didio has left DC Comics after I think it was over a decade of service as
Yeah.
like an editor there. He's gone, which is crazy because I truly did believe that they would have to carry him out on a stretcher, that he would not let go of his position unless they ripped it from his cold dead hands. But he seemingly left of his own accord. This is where it gets quite complicated and a little confusing. They said he left, people said their goodbyes, but he didn't really weigh in on it, and nor did they say, was he fired? Did he leave of his own recognizance? What's the deal here? It's all very strange and very mysterious, and the fact that this news dropped on it was like a Friday, wasn't it?
Yeah, like late Friday night.
I thought it was bullshit. I thought it was like one of those clickbait sites trying to kick up drama and get people interested, but then like Variety and like big news and entertainment sites started picking it up, and he never refuted it and DC never refuted it, and like people he worked with started wishing him goodbyes, and I'm like, this is fucking real. And it was.
Yeah, well, that's the weird thing. I don't even like, as of us recording this, it could have changed since this goes up on YouTube later on. DC hasn't said anything about it, or at least I
No.
haven't seen like no press release or anything about it.
No, 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 no. It's very, very strange. You would think if they fired him, they would have no problem in saying he was fired.
Hmm.
But the fact that they're saying nothing is even weirder. Usually in times like this, like what is it, like when Jeff Loeb left his position there or was fired from his position, they had like a whole press thing ready
Hmm.
to go. But for a guy who's been with them for so long, kind of shocking that they
Yeah.
haven't said anything yet. And, obviously there's a million different rumors and conjectures out there. The one that I keep seeing, I don't know if I believe it. They say that, the possible AT&T acquisition of Warner Brothers and by extension DC Comics had something to do about it. That, maybe he thought he'd be fired anyway, so he left on his own so he could at least say, hey, you didn't fire me, I quit, which is so weird because why would it be him and not be anyone else in editorial? Why would they have singled him out in particular, especially after like over a decade with the company? It's all very, very strange.
Yeah, and uh, as Tevius saying, this means DC 5G is dead. It does not.
No, it doesn't.
It does
No,
not
that
at all. Nothing at DC is, and this is what I said when it first announced. People seem to think that what now that he's gone, everything's just gone, like a light switch is going to flick, and
hmm
suddenly everything's going to change. It won't.
big.
Nothing will
No, it won't.
change.
Big changes don't happen overnight, especially not in a company as big as DC,
Hmm.
especially not when the balls of 5G are already rolling, that they've already got writers
Hmm.
together for what the next big thing is going to be, especially not when they've got free comic book day issues ready to go to usher into that. No, 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 no. Didio may be gone, but Didio's influence, good or bad, will still be felt for many years to come because that's just kind of how it works. And
Hmm.
furthermore, now that Didio is gone and is no longer in power, we're hearing some interesting things from writers who worked under him. I know Gail Simone said something rather interesting, and that is, Didio, for as much as we all love dunking on him and for all the problems that he did have, the fact is he never actually took credit for stuff that he did right and often took the blame for stuff that wasn't his fault. And I'm like, really? That's very interesting to hear someone say that, especially someone as outspoken as Simone, who doesn't work for the company
Hmm.
anymore, who would have no reason to lie,
Hmm.
is the damnedest.
Yeah, yeah. The Dio, like from like things I've seen at him when he's been at like on panels at cons and everything, he seems like a really nice guy, and he
Mhm.
seems very knowledgeable
Yeah.
on the comics that he's working on. He knows his stuff, and yeah, from what I've been seeing, what people have been writing, he seems like he was kind of a nice guy.
I mean, a lot of your new 52 heroes, your Jeff Lemire's, your Scott Snyder's, he hired them.
Hmm.
So they only have nice things to say about him. Tom King also had very nice things to say about him because they probably worked very close together on Heroes in Crisis. I'm not saying the man was a saint. I'm saying the man leave behind a complicated legacy, as would anyone after a decade working anywhere. And I mean, it kind of became a meme and a joke in and of itself whenever DC fans had a problem. Everyone would blame Dan
Yep.
DiDio, even though it's like, well, it wasn't just him. It was Jim Lee and Bob Harris and all these other people who worked with him. But hey, maybe they liked the fact where it's like, oh yeah, it's all Dan's fault. Blame him. And even the whole stuff with Nightwing, where it's like, oh, he hates Nightwing. He's been trying to kill Nightwing for every event for years now. Even he made jokes about that by the end when they brought out the DC Rebirth panel. He's like, oh yeah, and so Nightwing's back in blue. I tried fighting it, but yeah, hating Wally West, hating a lot of the what is it, the legacy characters. That's definitely something he never refuted, and something he certainly seemed to not like. He had a problem with characters feeling old. Perhaps the biggest blunder of his tenure of the last couple of years was not letting Batwoman get married to Maggie Sawyer.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, because that obviously came up when his firing was brought up, and I found his, because there was like a quote of like why that wasn't to happen,
Yes.
and it was so like it was such an ass pull of a quote. It's like, oh, these are
Yeah,
costumed
where it's
heroes. They can't have lives, you know.
I don't want them to be happy. It's not that I'm
Yeah.
homophobic. It's not that they're gay. It's just that I don't think any hero should be happy. And admittedly, yeah, that kind of is like true with like what's happening with Wally right now and what's happening with Dick. And it's like, no, they can't be too happy for too long. And I mean, that was a controversial way that he, tackled drama. That you can't have dramatic stories with happy characters. And again, bringing it back to the Batwoman thing, a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, was that a homophobic choice?" He did. One of the nice things he did, and one of the things you can't take away from him, is that he was actually one of the major creative forces behind getting that Love is Love anthology put together to honor the people who were killed in the Pulse nightclub shooting. So it's like, I mean, I guess that was him saying sorry delayed all the time later. I don't know. It's weird. And like, here's the thing too, people so quick to dance on the man's grave when he's gone. Here's the thing about comic books that people don't like to admit. It is a very small, often quite incestuous industry. Just because he's gone from DC, don't be shocked if one of your favorite smaller companies picks him up. In fact, that's probably what's going to happen. Don't be shocked if you hear tomorrow, oh, he's working for Valiant now, or he's working for IDW or Skybound or one of those other companies.
Marvel have got him now.
You joke, but it's like, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Where it's like, look, let's see what he can do. Again, he worked at the competition for a decade. Maybe he'll give us some good insight into what they're doing. Yeah, as the chat says, sometimes you fail upward in Hollywood. Yes, you almost certainly do.
Yeah.
Here's the thing I didn't know about the man when I was researching him. He only wrote comics at DC for like 2 years before he got the editor's job.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, he wrote a little Superboy and a couple fill-ins here and there, and then they gave him the big job after like 2 years. That was 2002. He got the job in 2004.
Who the hell did he know?
For real, I know, right? It's like, who gets promoted that quickly? But then again, this was also at the time too when the comic companies were even more obsessed with Hollywood and trying to get people from outside media to come in and maybe give them the special secrets to how to succeed. Because before that, he was from television. He worked at Mainframe Entertainment. He worked on that Canadian show Reboot that I love so much.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe they realized like, oh, maybe he's got contacts in Hollywood, and if we give him this position, we'll make him happy. Maybe he'll share them with us.
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on in the comic book industry at the time. And again, now that he's gone, a lot of people are theorizing who could potentially, be elevated to his new position, because, it's probably not going to be long before they want another editor. I've heard some interesting names thrown around. Maybe they give it to Scott Snyder to try and keep him happy and keep him with the company, to give him a editorial job. I don't know if he would want that, considering that he just opened up his own studio for independent projects.
Yeah, I don't see him wanting that at all, especially since with like what's happening in this Encore is meant to be like his like last stuff.
His swan song, yeah. I heard people bandy about Mark Waid as another one who's like been in the industry forever, is person who, isn't writing that much anymore, but is definitely someone with the know-how and the contacts for that job. I've heard some people say Tom King, and I'm like, hey now, hey.
Hey, this is a serious discussion.
Also, Tom King is going off to Hollywood too, but again, maybe that's their way to try and keep him, to be like, hey, if Hollywood doesn't work out, can be here. Some people are wishing for Jeff Johns. I don't know if Jeff Johns would want to come back after seeming so unceremoniously a step down that he was. I don't know if he'd want to swoop in and take the job now.
We'll see, like, he could, but the problem is that, like, because there's obviously rumors that, like, Didio was the one sort of, like, holding him back and everything, but also, as well as Didio, you have people like Jim Lee and Bob Harris and everything in those higher positions as well, and they could easily veto that.
Yeah, they could easily veto anything. It's going to be very, very interesting to see who they end up giving the job to. And again, we're just theorizing that, it could be people from the writing side of it. It could easily be, people from, other people from the editorial side of it, from the publishing side of it. There's any amount of people who that they could give the gig to, but it'll be very interesting when it happens.
I hope it's Bendis.
Yeah. Oh, then there's also that too, where it's like, look, we're already paying you more than anyone else in the comic industry right now. And like, here's the thing. You say that, but apparently word around the campfire is one of the big reasons Bendis left Marvel is because he wanted the editorship, he wanted the publishership, he wanted these things that Marvel was clearly never going to give him. He wanted the more clerical office job because he can't write forever. So that's like, you joke, but like, yeah, maybe.
I want that to happen just because I know all my video comments will be like a radioactive wasteland for the next 6 months.
Yeah, it will make people's heads explode. It'd be very, very funny if that. I almost want it to happen too for just that reason, because it's like, well, we're in crazy topsy-turvy time. So why not? Why not? Yeah, editor, publisher, Bendis, why not? But yeah, so that's that story, everyone. There's still a lot of unpacking here. There's a lot of, secrets to be told and a lot of reasons why. I'm sure we'll be talking about this again, too, because this is a story that is just, destined to continue to develop.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure we'll hear things about this for the coming months and years after, probably.
I'm sure we will. If I actually knew anyone who worked at DC who I thought would tell me, I would totally email them right now and be like, hey, what's going on? You can tell me. You can tell me what's going on. What's up? I guess moving on from there, we got another big piece of DC news. We had the little screen test for the Matt Reeves Batman costume in the Pattinson, the Batman movie. But this week we actually got some leaked pictures from the actual set in Glasgow. So we got a much better daylight look at the suit.
Yeah, and people obviously don't realize that this is a stunt suit, so it's going to look a bit more bulky, and because the guy's riding a motorbike, so and it's obviously, very obviously, a stuntman under the suit. Right. So it's going to have extra padding and stuff in case he falls off, which he did, because there's a video clip of him actually sliding the bike and falling off it, which is hilarious.
He sure friggin' did. I mean, I guess it does give us a better idea as to what the suit looks like, and I mean, it's a Batman suit.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. It screams like first pass on the suit sort of thing.
Because let's face it, as Marvel has shown us, you never stick to one costume. You innovate through every movie so you can sell new action figures and new merchandise. You never stick to one suit. In fact, if you can have two suits in one movie, all the better. Again, because it's hard to tell, what's the actual protective gear and what's part of the suit, because if so, they put like a lot of like little flares and little ridges and stuff on it, which I guess makes it more realistic. But at the same time too, I'm like, I would have liked them to sand that off a bit, and maybe they will in future iterations, who knows.
Yeah, and also to note, on his arms he's got like crossbow bolts or something.
Yeah, what's up with, I'm wondering, is this like straight up year zero? Is he gonna have a bow for a little bit until he realizes, nah, leave that for Green Arrow?
Well, that's the thing, like even his bike looks like the one from year zero a little bit.
It's not so much a dirt bike, but yeah, with the little fin in the front, it actually absolutely does look like year zero. And I mean, if this is the new origin story for a new Batman early in his career, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, also I like that there's tall horns on the suit now as well.
I like that too. I like the ears as well. No cape, but that makes me wonder, are they going to add the cape in later in post like they did in the last movie? Is the cape going to be CG now?
Maybe, although I'd like a sequence with Batman with no cape.
Right, where he hasn't quite gotten to that yet, where it's like, what do I need to truly make me a bat father and strike fear into the hearts of criminals? I know, a cape. Like, that's the last thing he adds to the costume, where it's like, yeah, it's a cape. That's what I need.
The cape will be made out of the gun that killed his parents.
Exactly. No, it'll be made out of, what is it? The blanket that wrapped Joe Chill. That's what it'll be made out of. I made it out of the blanket, and Superman over in Metropolis is like, motherfucker. Stop hobbitting my shit, man. Batman, this is the cape that brought me to Earth. You're not an alien, though. You don't know that. I'm Batman. I can be anything.
Yeah, I was found in the Wayne Manor residence.
There you go.
A rocket in a crashed Batwing.
Yes, you see these gauntlets here? They were forged by the god Hephaestus. Fuck off. No, they weren't. Just starts making shit up and saying that his costume does a bunch of things it can't.
This special ring is from outer space. I'm a space cop.
Yes, you see this motorcycle? It's powered by Speed Force energy. No, it isn't. Why are you lying, Batman? What makes you lie, Batman? This is.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Pattinson did say this new Batman was gonna be unsanitized, and maybe by that he means he just lies all the time.
Yeah. Party Pug mentions Batman wearing a trench coat. He actually did in Earth 2, and it looked really cool.
He did, and technically, I guess he wore it in Batman v Superman 2, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
He wore that, and he wore goggles. It's funny, he's got eye protectors here. I wonder, we'll probably never get white-eyed Batman, which is a shame, because that's how he always looks in the comics, but I wonder if this kind of, like, grayish goggle thing is their compromise.
Maybe. Or, again, because this is like a stunt suit, it could just be, like, eye protection for the guy. But, yeah, I could see it maybe being somehow enhanced by CGI, like, made white or something.
Yeah. Because it's like, you figure they've done just about everything they can with Batman's costume. I'd like to see them get, a little creative here and there and do some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think, it's like, what, like in all the years of all the costumes they've done, they've basically done everything you can do. I would say the only thing this thing is missing is a yellow belt. I would really like a yellow belt to cut up all the black, because obviously they're not going to do the yellow symbol or any of the other stuff, but I would at least like a yellow belt, because this is just black on black on black.
Yeah, it's something to break up the suit somewhere, like a yellow belt, or like, as people were saying, which I was hoping would be the case, like a navy blue or blue like cowl and cape.
Yeah, that's a shame that they're so afraid of the color blue.
It could happen. There could be a suit we haven't seen yet.
That's true. Maybe that's the final thing. That's the big stinger at the end. He goes out in his more professional suit.
Yeah.
Because, again, that's the theory, that this is probably some kind of Mark I from early in the movie. I also like the idea that he's in a graveyard, too, so I can only assume he's visiting his parents' grave and just doing wheelies in his bat cycle. I'm well-adjusted.
In their honor.
Yeah, I'm well-adjusted. Love you, Mom and Dad. Bye. Time to go beat up poor people in my bat suit. Yeah,
or he's like doing donuts on like Joe Chill's grave or something.
Yes, please. Yes, I want that so bad. I'm well-adjusted. I'm unsanitized. Pattinson said so. Woo, 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 when he drives off. And Gordon's up there. It's like, should we do something about that? Nah, just let the crazy Wayne kid do whatever he wants. He's rich. Gives a bunch of money to the policeman's ball every year. That's the new twist in this movie. Everyone knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman. Just no one wants to deal with it, though.
Yeah. Oh, so it's like that Neil Gaiman story. Whatever happened to the Cape Crusader?
Exactly, and Alfred just hires guys to dress up to be his villains and everything. No, look, just put on the green unitard, say you're the Riddler. He needs to feel like he's doing something, guys. He really needs to feel like he's doing something. It's this, or he's just gonna like go back to bed and be depressed. I know it's stupid, just do it. Rich people get away with way worse. Man, they would never do that movie, but that movie would actually be kind of amazing, wouldn't it? Where Batman's just a sad loser, and like the whole city is trying to come together and make him feel like not a sad loser. Man, and then of course the Joker from the movie Joker shows up, and he's like, "But I'm a sad loser too, and I think this shit is real." And I'm gonna go werewolf on you because I'm also a werewolf now. And Batman's like, I'm a werewolf. I have everything. I have special werewolf-proof armor. And then they just, like, slap fight each other in, like, a McDonald's parking lot. And that's the big finale of the movie. You can see why they don't let me write these, right? This is like some shit Kevin Smith wrote and they threw away. But where's the giant spider, though, is the real question.
That's coming in Act 3 when he fights the polar bear as well.
There you go. We gotta get it. And then he's got to go salmon fishing in Yemen, and then the polar bear comes to eat his salmon, and that's where he has to fight him. Remember that bit for the longest time? Everyone was so certain in Batman v Superman there'd be a whole scene where they'd be salmon fishing in Yemen.
Was it Batman vs Superman? I thought it was like the end of it was like a stinger because they thought like Christian Bale was coming back or something, and it was like, oh, they're gonna bring him back at the end of Man of Steel, and he's gonna be salmon fishing in Yemen, and they're gonna like pick him up and bring him into the movie, and
maybe it was that, who knows? But again, I just love that image so much, and I love all this time later we still remember it. All right, what else do we got here? Yeah, that's the suit. Suit's pretty cool. Because there was so little news this week, and because Matt and I haven't had a chance to read all our comics yet, I thought it might be fun if we did a little bit of TV recapping, because a lot of our favorite shows are both back now and in full swing. Where would you like to start, Matt?
well, let's start with the new one, the Clone Wars, that started on Friday.
Yeah, you stayed up extra late so you could watch this. I was following you on Twitter.
Well, not really, because it debuted for me at like 6 o'clock at night.
Ah, fair enough. There you go. I thought about staying up late, then I'm like, nah, I can wait.
Yeah, so we got the first episode of The Bad Batch, and it was great.
Yes, it was. And interesting, too, because they technically already made this arc once as part of those unfinished story reel animatics back during, like, the in-between of when Lucas sold to Disney, and they weren't sure if they were ever going to get to finish these episodes or not. So they put a couple new scenes in there. We actually get a very nice scene of Rex reflecting over the fact that he's the last of his surviving war buddies. And, you know, he remembers Echo and Heavy and Fives and everything. I'm like, oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah, I love the scene where we introduced to Rex in this episode, where he's just in that barracks and he's the only one in there.
Yep, he's the last one. Commander Cody's also here too, playing a major part. Whenever Cody shows up, it's always like, I know what you're gonna do.
Yeah, you're gonna try and kill Obi-Wan.
The one thing you're famous for doing, I know you're gonna do it. So whenever you're around, it's a little uneasy. The Bad Batch themselves are super freaking cool, and just a cool concept too of defective clones who have mutations that make them better instead of making them shittier, like 99.
Yeah. So we got the big guy Breacher, who's like
Wrecker.
Wrecker, that's his name. Wrecker, who's who can lift gunships over his head and is basically just the Hulk in clone trooper armor.
They're all super clones. You got Hunter, the leader, who's just John Rambo.
Yeah, down to the bandana around the head.
Like, I'm like, man, like, Clone Wars never met a war movie trope it didn't love, and this one is just wearing it on its frickin' skin. And then you got, the sniper guy who looks a little like Clint Eastwood in one of his war movie roles.
Yep.
He's accurate, but he's also prematurely graying, which I thought that was funny. We don't see any clones with gray hair.
No, we don't.
I guess except for in Rebels, when obviously we get Old Man Rex, who has the beard and everything, meaning that they can actually go gray.
Yeah.
Trench came back. Trench was one of the more interesting, but also one of the more forgotten Clone Wars villains that they never actually dealt with.
Yeah, I liked seeing him. I wasn't sure whether it was him when we saw him. I'm like, oh no, it is him. He's got like the robotic arms and everything now.
It's fun too because Trench is voiced by D. Bradley Baker, who voices all of the clones. So literally 90% of this episode is just D. Bradley Baker talking to himself.
Yeah, it's just him in the room just talking to himself back and forward.
Man, that's so fun. Did you love the bit too where they take down a couple of the droids and they're like, hey, what's that sound? I heard there's another drill today. I'm like, oh, they say the things the stormtroopers say.
The minute I heard this, like, did you hear that sound? I'm like, oh, they're gonna do the thing. I saw the thing and I clapped.
They did. They totally did the thing. And I'm like, you know what? It's deserved and earned in this one. I love, too, the big plot of this one is, we think the droids have developed an algorithm that's guessing our tactics, so we have to stop it. And I'm like, man, tell me about it. I've been fighting the YouTube algorithm my whole life. Good luck with that, guys.
I thought exactly the same thing. I was like, oh, so they're using the YouTube algorithm. They're demonetizing the clones and age restricting their movements. And
exactly, which, man, I was very much on Rex's side in this episode. Yeah, man, you go kick that algorithm's ass. Give him one for me with your cool vibro knives. But yeah, it was a cool episode. It kicks off this great new arc. Obviously, the idea maybe Rex isn't the last clone trooper of his old buddies at all. Maybe one is still out there somewhere. It feels weird protecting the twist in this one because obviously people have seen the story reel, so they know what happens.
Yeah, yeah, it is weird, but you never know. They might have changed some things because there was some extra like dialogues and stuff
There
put
was.
into these episodes, so it might have changed some more.
It's funny. I know I'm wrong, but I had like a really great pitch that I know they're not going to do now, but I actually kind of liked the idea of a clone trooper going all Colonel Kurtz from like Apocalypse Now to being like, "Oh, I've gone native, I've joined the enemy." Cuz wouldn't that be so sad and tragic, a clone forsaking clones and joining the separatists, because we as the audience know that it doesn't matter what side you're on, separatists or clones. Palpatine is literally behind it all, puppeteering both sides of the war, making pretty much all your sacrifices pointless.
Yeah, that'd actually be pretty cool. The one I thought as well is that like he's gonna like think they're all Echo is still alive and everything, and they're gonna get to him, and he's just gonna be like like pre-recorded messages and stuff, and he's been like long dead or something.
Yeah, one of those. They kind of did that in Rebels, didn't they? Where
A little
they had
bit,
to
yeah.
find
That Jedi, yeah.
Yeah, they had to find the Jedi Master, only to be like, oh no, wait, it was actually a trap. It was actually a recording. But they could pull that trick twice. You never know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Clone Wars. Clone Wars is cool. I'm glad they get to finish it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really looking forward to this season.
Yeah, so am I. Again, you said there's only going to be 3 arcs, which is a shame. But then again, we don't know how long the arcs are going to be. Do we know how many episodes there's going to be of this final season?
I want to say we do, but I don't know it off the top of my head. I know
so we got
maybe at least 10 or 11 episodes, maybe.
Right, we got this clone arc for sure. We got an Ahsoka arc for sure because we saw the stuff in the trailer of her fighting Darth Maul and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess whatever the third arc is going to be.
Siege of
I
Mandalore.
hope it's another
Siege of
bounty
Mandalore.
hunter. Oh, right. Yeah, I guess we really have to do Siege of Mandalore because it's going to tie into The Mandalorian.
Yep. Well, I wonder if if we'll actually get to see like that scene of him being rescued by Death Watch in animation. That'd be pretty cool.
I mean, it's Filoni who does both, so it's not crazy to think they would do that.
Yeah.
It's not crazy at all. And also, we got to track the movements of what is it, the Dark Blade now, and where that one goes. Speaking of which, is Sons of Dathomir canon now, or did that one get decanonized?
That's that comic with Darth Maul, isn't it?
Yes, where what is it? Him and his like Mandalorian goons fight Dooku and the Emperor directly, and Mother Talzin comes back for a minute only to get killed again. I think it got decanonized.
It's canon.
For one
it's
or
still
two
canon
reasons.
because Disney reprinted it, and it's like the only thing that's come back because it's tied in with Clone Wars and everything.
Right, okay, because there was a couple things there that were up in the air because they did that Asajj Ventress, Quentin Voss novel, and then they also did like another Ahsoka book, and I know some of those were up in the air because they came out during that weird time frame. But then again, Filoni and the Clone Wars team had a hand in those, so even if they got decanonized, it's not to say that it's still not canon in their head. Like they said forever, the story reels were canon in their head.
Yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned that Ahsoka book because this Ahsoka book deals like with parts of the Siege of Mandalore and her fighting Maul, and there's already discrepancies between the two. Her lightsaber colors are different in the book, like where I think the fight takes place, I think.
Right.
So yeah, it's like again one of those things like we should have like maybe worked a bit hard to like make it more a bit coherent.
But then again, too, it's also like, hey, when do you ever get a second pass at something like this? When do you ever get to take a second crack at it? Maybe they'll make it better. Who knows?
That's true.
Maybe they had more time to think about it, which, rarely ever happens. All right, what else do we got going on here? Ooh, The Flash had a big revelation in the last episode, and what is kind of becoming a rather interesting second part of this season. We've been introduced to not Evan McCullough, the second Mirror Master, but Eva McCullough, the Mirror Mistress, I guess.
Yeah, who has been getting some great time with Iris since Iris is stuck in the mirror world, and I think it was in the last episode where she says she's witnessing the birth of a supervillain right in front of her eyes.
How weird is it that this is the best Iris story they've ever told, where she's not Iris at all, but a better, more competent character?
Yeah, it's like I was thinking that when I was watching. I'm like, huh, I like this like mirror Iris more. She actually does stuff. She's competent.
Yeah, and like actually proactive. Man, I feel like that's almost the writers ripping on themselves and ripping on Iris to be like, okay, well, let's just take Iris, but do the opposite. Where you mean she's good at stuff? Yeah, that. Isn't that just admitting that she sucked for multiple seasons? Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're very well aware that she does suck.
That they've tried so many things and that it's never worked, and that making her a different person was literally the best thing. Also, how cool is it too this season? Our big overarching villain is basically Black Hole. Because Black Hole is such a new concept from the comics.
Yeah, you know what I found really funny? I was just like, because when I made this image that's on the screen now, I had to get the poster. I'm like, oh yeah, Bloodwork was in this season.
Yes, in the first half, and I'm glad they've learned that they don't need one villain to hold up one entire season, and they can change it. I dig the Flash fighting what is basically a terrorist group, and that it's a little different, and you just can't go punch the big boss and have it all over with. I like that, it's got more mystery solving, more skullduggery.
It feels like the Flash writers kind of like looked over at the Supergirl desk a little bit, because at the moment she's fighting Leviathan, and they're kind of very, very similar.
Yeah, I don't know where the writers' rooms of these shows are set up on, but it does certainly feel like every so often someone gets shifted over, or someone like comes on in with coffee and donuts, like, hey guys, what are you doing over here? Oh, look, just take some of those pages off your hands, bye.
Yeah, word replace Supergirl with Flash,
and we're done. Yeah, but Black Hole is cool though. I like that they've got like supervillain assassins, and we got people like Allegra there, Ultraviolet, who's now a recurring bad guy heavy, and they even worked in Sue Dibney / Sue Dearborn. You thought she was off in a C plot with Elongated Man, but no, she's actually tied into this plot.
Yeah, and she's basically Black Widow.
She's Black Widow, she's a little Catwoman, and normally that would bug me, but I'm like, no, they're saying that she's competent, and I'm sure the joke will be, no, look, she started this way, but eventually she'll calm down and become Murder, She Wrote with Ralph once they get together. This is them in their wild and rowdy youth, and I'm like, all right, that's fine, I can dig that.
Yeah, and then Jean Loring will be introduced again, because she got introduced twice in Arrow.
I know. And it's funny because they kind of did a thing here. Oh, the arms dealer she was after, his name is John Loring. And I'm like, oh, I see what you did, Flash writers. That's you saying like, no, it's fine. He's a man. It's John. It's not going to happen. He's not married to Adam. None of the bad things will happen. Also, we introduced Dr. Light twice in the show, and both times Dr. Light was the female version, so you don't have to worry.
That is until they want that to happen.
Until they want it to happen, which they might tease it, but I think the fact that they did it that way means they know how much fans hate that story, so they might be like, oh no, someone with a flamethrower is going after Sue. No. No mas. I tap out. Stop. That's fine, man. To think that Sue Dibney is a character that carries all this baggage all this time later.
I know.
I had to explain that to someone who just saw the show for the first time. They're like, why do people care so much about Sue Dibney? And I'm like, man, how much time you got?
Yeah, take a seat.
Yeah, take a motherfucking seat. We got things to talk about, and you're not gonna like it. Here, take these brain worms that have eating me for all these years, and you have them now. And I guess the other big show I really wanted to chat with you was, of course, Legends of Tomorrow, which, man, all these shows got new openings, or most of them did, and I think Legends got the best new opening credit crawl.
Really? I don't like it. It reminds me of like a kid's like high school, like a Degrassi sort of like teen high school opening. Yeah, it doesn't fit the show at all.
See, I felt the other way. I thought it was kind of like a weird, like 60s neo-punk thing they were going for with like all the graffiti. Although I guess when you put that through a lens, that also kind of becomes Degrassi Saved by the Bell shit, doesn't it? Because one co-opted the other.
Yeah, it's funny because Flash also got a new opening, which is really good. Supergirl and Batwoman didn't.
Interesting. I wonder why. Did Black Lightning get a new one?
No, not that I've known. They still got that wrap one with that After Effects logo that sweeps in.
He needs a new one. Black
Yeah.
Lightning's back, but he's been back for a while though. At what point does it just become Black Lightning's here? Man, someone sent me a thing. Apparently, what is it? They actually worked in Gravedigger into Black Lightning. I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
That's amazing. And Wayne Brady played him. Holy shit balls.
Yeah. It's a pretty damn good show.
That's so cool. I need a day. I need to get like really sick in bed and not be able to move so I can catch up on all of these.
Yeah,
Black Lightning is on Netflix, which I appreciate.
They got like stuff like with Markovia. The city is now like walled off because of it, and like all this really cool shit's happening. Bill Duke is in the episode.
Nice. I guess that's what you have to do with a character like Black Lightning, where he only has a couple series and they keep getting canceled. Well, what do you do once we've exhausted this? Well, we'll do the Outsiders Markovia stuff. Well, what do we do after that? Well, he's been on all these other teams. Let's make it kind of this super one-stop shop for forgotten African-American characters in DC Comics like Gravedigger, which is fucking sweet, actually. Good on that show, man. I'm glad that show found its audience. What else have you been watching, Matt, while we're talking about TV?
Well, we never really got to even talk about Legends, but Legends has been so fucking good this season.
Oh, it really has. They are so they picked a great premise this season to where it's like, what if they fought history's greatest supervillains? That way we don't have to use villains from the comics. We can just use guys like Rasputin and like all these other characters.
Yeah, or like even make some up, like that slasher at Mix Old High School.
What was it? Fred Myers, I think it was. It's like, oh, so he's Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers. And then they even do the twist from the original, Friday the 13th.
Yeah, where it's the mom.
That was such a clever episode. And man, I was actually hating that episode for a minute because I'm like, are they really trying to tell us that all a serial killer needs is one good day to not be a serial killer? That's some bullshit. Oh, he was innocent, actually. He was innocent. Okay, fair enough.
I loved that episode so much, especially with Nate and Brandon Routh being like just teachers, like doting teachers.
We're cool. You can talk to us. We're cool. Also, they're wringing a lot of great content out of Nora Dark being a fairy godmother.
Oh yeah, it's gonna get even better because Damien Dark's coming back.
Ooh, cool. See, I thought that was like a throwaway joke when they're like, haha, she used to be a villain, now she's a fairy godmother. Oh, no, wait, she actually keeps coming back, and that keeps being important. And also, she looks like Marie Antoinette as well.
I love that episode. I thought that was a great episode.
That's the stuff they're doing with Zari is particularly fun because she got to have a whole full character arc in the previous season, and now she gets to come back, basically be a new version of herself and start a new character arc.
Yeah, and this character, she's like a Twitch thought.
A vapid Twitch thought so far from the hero that she is, but it's very fun and very clever, and every so often she's showing the hero that she could be. What was the line she had last episode that was so goddamn funny to me? It was spray, delay, walk away.
I like it was like a throwaway joke about how she played Capture the Flag to support feline OCD.
That's really fucking good. Man, that's all good. That's good shit.
And Mick's getting in episodes very soon when someone gives him bad Yelp reviews on his book. But oh my god, him this whole season, I just love like whenever he just like breezes into a scene. He's so funny. True. Like he's got like feelings for a girl at the moment, and he thinks it was an STD.
That's the funniest thing. Gideon, I need you to run tests on me. And even the computer's like, nope, that's love. That's definitely love. Yeah, man, dude, Dominic Purcell is so fucking funny in that show. If you went back in time and said, yo, Heatwave's going to be your favorite part of this Legends show, I'd be like, no, he isn't. You're crazy.
Well, I think most people would be like, who's Heatwave?
Exactly. Who the hell is Heatwave? I am shocked that they haven't tried to parlay this version of the character back into the comics in any way.
I think it's going to happen. I have a feeling it's going to happen very soon.
Like maybe after this Williamson run is done, I'd be like, look, let me reintroduce Heatwave, but he's funny now.
Yeah.
Because like everything else that's happened with Heatwave, where it's like you could do it, no one would care. It's not like, oh, you've harmed the sanctity of Heatwave by making him funny.
As Tevia mentioned, they're doing a Constantine storyline, a very good
Yes.
Constantine storyline.
Yes, it seems like they're actively adapting Dangerous Habits now, which I would say is pure insanity because that's like the most beloved, most well-known Constantine story. Hell, that's what that Keanu Reeves movie was based on, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
And to do it in a comedy show, but to actually kind of take it seriously and give it reverence, because like Constantine and Charlie are often like a whole other subplot of this show.
Yeah. At the end of the last episode, he had the little watch that sort of tells him like how long he's got left to live. Got like fucked with, and now he's dead basically.
They even retconned his origin in a way that I thought I was going to hate, but it actually kind of works for the show, saying that he actually knew Astra's mom and that she was another member of Mucous Membrane, his old punk band, and that was part of the reason that they knew to call him in to try and save the daughter. But obviously because he was young, impetuous, and he made a mistake and everything, and Nergal got involved. I wonder, will we actually see Nergal? It's funny that Astra's a villain now, which is a crazy but actually very clever place to take her character. I wonder if we're actually going to see Nergal in this show.
I think we will. It's going to be like the big reveal, I think.
Right, Nergal was behind it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be cool with that. He's the final boss, because they do that sometimes in this show, where it's like, actually, it was me. Yeah, because it's not like if he kills Astra or they somehow defeat Astra, then Constantine will basically have no reason to exist anymore to do his thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, to say that it was actually me, Nergal, pushing her towards evil would actually be kind of cool, and then have it to be like, maybe Astra redeems herself, but she has to stay in hell, so Constantine again continues to have to work to try and get her out to clear his own soul.
There you go. That's how you keep him in the show.
There you go. The real twist, though, is are they going to bring back his guardian angel, Harold Pinois, from the Constantine show? Because that's like, they cleared up so much stuff in Legends, but that's the one big hanging plot thread.
I'm surprised they haven't done it as like a joke. Like, I had a guardian angel. Haha, me, John Constantine.
Yeah, again, like, even just as a throwaway joke, you're absolutely right. Then you've, flash over to the Guardian Angel, and he's standing in the same spot from the end of the last episode. He never came back. Because he disappeared through time, and the angel wouldn't be able to follow him, and he's just like, when the fuck's he coming back? I feel like my whole purpose has been canceled or something. Because, that actor's up for it. That actor's up for anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's did you have anything else to talk about for TV? Anything you've been watching that I haven't that you want to talk about?
Not really. I know like this week stuff like Altered Carbon season 2 starts.
I heard good things about that.
Yeah, it's got what's his name in it? Blanking on his name. He plays Falcon.
Oh, Anthony Mackie.
That's it, Anthony Mackie. He's the lead character in this season.
Oh, nice. I like him. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, Better Call Saul starts tonight as well.
I still cannot believe that show was still going after all this time. I never actually got into that. I watched the first episode of Better Call Saul, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. And then I'm like, well, I'm sure this will be done soon, and then it wasn't.
Yeah, well, I think this is the last season, so.
Right. Ray Donovan ended up being the last season this season. I haven't watched it yet, and I'm almost afraid to, because I'm just like, no, what if I watch it? It's done.
Well, that as well, like, because the cancellation seems to just come out of nowhere. So, like, does that mean the season just, like, ends on, like, a cliffhanger or, like, sets up plots for a season that's never going to happen now?
I mean, Ray Donovan was pretty good as a series to end every season like it was their last. I will give them endless credit for that because they never knew if they were coming back. It's a miracle they made it 5 seasons.
Yeah, I hope, like, someone picks it up, like Netflix or something. Just do one more season.
I feel like maybe that's why the actors and everyone involved was so quiet about it. And like, I think Liev Schreiber ended up being an executive producer on the series and everything. So maybe he has the power to take it to another channel. I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully.
I mean, come on, we got all these freaking apps now that need content.
Yeah. Send it to the DC app.
Yeah, sure. Why not? What does this have to do with DC Comics? Nothing at all, but it's a good show. That's the world I want to live in, where shows just pop up on apps that they have no business popping up on. Why is this here? Because why not? Yes. Man, the DC Universe app could use some of that now because Harley Quinn came to an end this week as well.
Apparently, the second season's coming out in April.
It is. They greenlit 26 episodes, so they already basically got the second batch more or less ready to go, which is great because that season actually ends on a pretty big cliffhanger.
Oh, cool. I'm like 3 episodes off from the ending. I did see that clip, though, of Joker talking with Batman or Bruce Wayne complaining how he hasn't gotten in his electric car yet. I thought that was pretty funny.
That's pretty great. There's a lot of really solid jokes in that finale. They also do a thing with Harley in her costume that I never actually thought they could possibly do. They actually made me change my mind about a thing that I held pretty dear just by moving a couple small things around. And yeah, they take it in a direction and they do some things where you're like, really? This show has so much more depth than you might believe.
Yeah. The episodes I've watched have been so great. The jokes, the visual gags, and all that sort of stuff is great. And Harley's not like insufferable or anything. She's a great character.
Yeah, they find the great characterization that the comics, I think, have missed in the last little bit, and arguably the movies have missed somewhere too along the way. She feels truly three-dimensional.
Yeah, these people read Sean Gordon Murphy's take on Harley.
That they also read a lot of the Palmiotti Connor stuff from the beginning, because there's a ton of that in there as well.
Yeah.
And other books too. Like, I'll tell you, like, this final episode makes allusions to like Emperor Joker and Mad Love and No Man's Land.
Oh jeez.
I know, I'm fucking shocked. I'm like, how is this comedy show this like complex? It's truly amazing. All right, I guess with that out of the way, do we want to hop into what we read this week?
Sure.
Yeah, again, I didn't read everything I wanted, but I did read some things. I guess we were on the subject of Batman, so do we want to start with Batman 89?
Sure, yeah.
By which, of course, I mean the 89th issue of Batman, not the Michael Keaton Batman 89 movie. A lot of people were quick to make that joke in my comment section. They're like, oh, come on, Batman number 89 doesn't come around very often, and you don't make one joke reference or allusion to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we actually get to see what the designer looks like this issue.
Yeah, and he's very over the top.
Very, very much so. I didn't quite get it, though I read an interview that said in designing the character they wanted to make basically a Metal Gear villain in the Batman universe. And I'm like,
yes. Oh, that makes sense.
And I'm like, okay, I see it now. This weird militaria regalia, but with like a fur cape and everything, and like old English lettering on his mask. I'm like, yeah, I could see him hanging out with Armstrong and Volgan and Sundowner and all these other guys.
Yeah, given 4-hour-long monologues and everything.
Of course, and I will use war as a business to end. Everyone will be free to design their own death traps in their own world. True freedom. Man, if that's what he actually wants, that's gonna be crazy.
Hey, we've called sillier stuff.
Indeed, we have. We've called dumber bullshit, and also my camera is choosing now to fuck up, even though it's been fine all episode long. And people in the comments section even said, "Oh, did Joel get a new camera? It's better this time."
That's why it fucked up. They said it. They mentioned it.
You jinxed it, everybody. You done goofed. You done goofed it up. But yeah, what did you think of this issue, Matt?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I like that we got again, like for like the 4th or 5th issue in a row, we got more cool bat gadgets. This time, bat drones that really reminded me of drones that he used in Kingdom Come. Except smaller.
Definitely.
I like that he's got like this just army of drones that he can just send out on whoever he wants now.
The bat swarm, to which I like even Deathstroke was kind of pissed at that, where he's like, come on, man.
Yeah, I liked his fights with Gunsmith and Dr. Teeth, how he was like, he knew everything about them, knew everything about Gunsmith, how he was like a failed military brat who couldn't get into the military, so he was, I'm going to go and make my own military with blackjack and hookers and
basically I'm gonna wear American flag like a Captain America ripoff.
Yeah. And Mr. Teeth, I like Mr. Teeth. He's creepy.
Very, very creepy. Oh, thank you, the Ultimate Dark Slayer, for following. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I like too because those are the only two new villains, so Batman basically has to give us their origin story for them.
Yeah.
And this is what they're all about. It's funny, we were mentioning Harley before. She actually plays a surprisingly large part of this issue. She, says to Catwoman, yeah, I came back to Gotham after all this time because I actually want to kill the Joker. Which I'm shocked it's actually taken them this long to tell that story, but it actually makes a lot of sense the way she tells it.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
And saying, oh yeah, that guy in the grave, that's not the real Joker, but it was a guy from the gang. Joker's actually killing all of his old gang right now, building up for what we now know to be Joker War. And he's actually super pissed that the designer is stealing his thunder right now and Batman isn't paying attention to him.
Yeah.
I love that as a concept. Oh, and now my camera seems to have just died, or is that you who did that?
No, I just changed it.
I'm back. I'm back, kind of. I'm still Technicolor, but I'm still kind of here. I like to, for once, all roads lead back to the Riddler, and he's actually super important in this story for a change.
Yeah, I thought it was just going to be like a one and done. Like, oh, here's how Riddler looks now. We'll catch up with him in a later storyline. But no, he's a big part of it.
Man, I hope they don't do some hush shit to where it's like, haha, the Riddler was actually behind this all along.
I wouldn't actually mind that, especially given what it fulfill what he said in his Year of the Villain book, where he's going to try something new and he finally got one over on Batman. I'd be like, good for you.
Where it's like, look, I couldn't do this on my own. I couldn't do this as just Edward Nygma, the Riddler. I had to, become the ultimate designer. I had to, create a villain who could defeat Batman.
Yeah.
Which I guess would make it different just enough from Hush, because, the whole dressing up part was totally Hush's idea.
It was, yeah.
Riddler's like, I didn't tell you to do that. I didn't tell you to put bandages on your face and everything else. I just told you to fuck with them. Okay.
Yeah, that's just your weird thing.
Yeah, you just went. Yeah, your weird thing, not like me who wears green bowler hats with question marks on them. Fucking sicko. Can't trust anybody in this city. And yeah, I mean, it just kind of ends with Catwoman saying all right, I guess I have to actually tell you the story now of how the designer approached us and how we put together this so-called perfect crime.
Yeah, and as well, Joker being alerted to that Batman isn't involved in his game anymore, but he doesn't really matter because he knows the identities of all of the Bat family now, and he's gonna go have some words with them.
Yeah, which I guess there's going to be that Rick Grayson story that they were building up on, that apparently Joker comes to town and kills all the other Nightwings. I'm like, all right, sure, fine, get rid of them, clear the board. I never wanted to read a Rick Grayson story, but I actually kind of want to read that one.
Yeah, kind of, just to see what would happen.
Man, it will be so fucking hilarious if it's the Joker who actually gets Rick Grayson to remember who he is.
Yeah, well, they missed their chance with the Alfred death, so yeah.
I guess, boy, yeah, man, talk about a thing that should have been the inciting incident. I would love it if Joker's just slapping Dick around. It's like, no, your name is Dick. It's not fun if you don't know who you are.
It shoots him in the head again. Hopefully you remember now.
Yeah. It's like, I've been fighting you since you were a child in small pants. It's not fun that you don't remember me and our history. This is bullshit. Man, I think I'm writing a better story, actually, where the Joker just gets super incensed, and instead of trying to kill Rick Grayson, he's just trying to get him to get his memory back. Because wouldn't that be the ultimate one-over on Batman? I did what you couldn't.
That would be, and it actually kind of fit in with how Harley described the Joker in this, when he had that big trap of gassing the movie theater, and it was outstaged by Two-Face, and he got really mad at that. I could see if he's got mad at something like that, he'll get mad at Dick Grayson not being Dick Grayson.
I do love petty Joker as a piece of characterization, which again, only helps further the thing where it's like, I think Joker's more obsessed with Batman than just being his villain. He really seems like a jilted ex.
Yeah.
I'm doing fine. Look, here's Punchline, my new gal pal. Look how fine I'm doing. Yeah, I guess we got to see her for a minute here. She's an okay design.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's even smart to be like, hey, can we make the Harley Quinn lightning strike twice? Because remember how high everyone was on Joker's daughter when that was a thing?
Oh, God. Try not to.
I know. we're taking it back now. Like, that character was like roundly rejected in the comics, and they tried several times to make her work. Yet apparently her first appearance in her Villains month issue and everything actually sold really well on the speculators market.
Oh, really?
Yes, so everyone buy your Punchline issues now, everyone, because they may appreciate in price.
Yeah, they'll be worth their weight in gold, which probably isn't that much because they're a comic book.
Yeah, I saw something really disgusting on Twitter the other day. Apparently, this issue 89, one of the variants had like a big spelling error on it.
Oh, fuck. Fucking hell.
Yeah, one of the variants had a spelling error on it, and someone I follow on Twitter put that issue up on eBay like the day it came out, and he was able to get like $500 for it.
Fucking hell.
I saw that. I'm like, man, why aren't I buying more variant issues? Why am I buying all this digital for work? I could have put that towards a Disney trip.
God damn it.
I know, right? Apparently we should be getting these fucking misspelled variant covers is what we should be getting. And the person who sold the comic even said, like, I don't actually want to know the person on the other side of this who is willing to drop like $500 on a misspelled variant.
Yeah.
That like, probably will be worth nothing.
That's the thing, that those people that buy it are like worse than the people that sell it. Like, why? Why?
It's like, man, I feel like I just sold this man smack or something. He's going to grind it up into a spoon and shoot it into his veins. Because that's the only way he can get an erection anymore, by shooting up variant covers that are misspelled. This just gets me to normal now, man. That's all it does.
This just keeps me normal.
Just gets me to normal. I need it. Cyborg Soldier in the chat bringing up that the only other Batman comic that sold that much was the Batman Damn #1 with the Dongus not bleed out.
And I know it does because I had an issue and I sold it for an obscene amount of money.
I know, you bought yourself some of those high-end Star Wars black figures. See, that's a good investment because you can actually turn those around and sell them for something good. Forget put your money into gold, put your money into Star Wars black figures is where you need them to be. When society falls, we're not going to be paying with bottle caps like in the Fallout series. We're going to be trading high-end action figures, all them hot toys. Whoever controls the hot toys will control the wasteland.
Yeah, they're the new gasoline.
Yeah, the new go, my raiders, out into the wasteland and bring me back all the hot toys. But do not grow addicted to the hot toys, for they are fleeting. This one is out of the box, mediocre. Man, this is good shit right here. Man, we should make this, is what we should do. Someone kickstart this idea about our stupid wasteland, our stupid apocalypse. All right, what else did we read this week, Matt, that we wanted to talk about?
I had DCeased Unkillables issue 1.
I had this too. I really freaking liked this one.
I did as well. It's all about like villains and people. I like the theme of like people who have been resurrected or like have immortality.
Dysfunctional families also. This is the one that focuses on the dysfunctional families, the black sheep, and the fucked up people that might actually not only survive a zombie apocalypse, but thrive in a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, this is their world now.
Very much so. It follows Deathstroke. What is there? We get to see him. He's been sent to kill a bunch of neo-Nazi skinheads, and they become zombies. So it's like, oh no, they're Nazi zombies. We're doing this trope now, but you didn't think we would, but we did. And because he's a super soldier with a healing factor, he gets infected, but only for a little bit, and he actually comes back to himself, which even he's surprised by.
Yeah. I gotta ask you, were your comment section like a cancer ward for people like getting really mad at that?
No, actually.
Mine was.
That's surprising.
People were really upset that he could survive it, but people like The Flash or Superman couldn't.
I mean, I can understand that thinking, but it's also like, well, Deathstroke's got that stupid thing where he can use 90% of his brain, and I guess the anti-life equation attacks your brain first, or at least that's how Mirror Master describes it, that he's invented these goggles that scramble the signals to your brain, and because Deathstroke and Big Brain, that why?
Though I was saying that there's also the fact that like the Flash was turned and then was like seconds later killed by Superman, and Superman's technically not dead, he's just in the sun.
That's right, and as we saw with Deathstroke, it took him a while to break the control, but eventually he did.
Yeah, and Flash does have a healing factor, except it takes him hours to like fix broken bones or something. Like, and I imagine the same is for Deathstroke, because it was definitely hours or at least days until he got his mind back.
You gotta wonder too if it works differently from the people who see the anti-life signal on their screen versus the people who get bitten.
Exactly, yeah.
That, it's probably a different level of infection there. But Deathstroke's really cool. He's like, the world is ending, so he wants to try and get back together with his daughter Rose, which I find hilarious because it's like, oh, was Jericho already dead in this universe, or are you finally admitting that Rose is your favorite kid Slade? Rose, I gotta save you. You're my family. What about Jericho and your wife? Fuck them.
Yeah, I have a wife. I have a son.
Yeah, sometimes you do. They're dead already. They've been dead to me for a long time, Rose. And vice versa. They get recruited by Vandal Savage, who's leading basically a new Injustice League right now on a very real island that geographically is further away from any other landmass than in anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, so it's the perfect place for them and the tree lobsters to live.
Good old tree lobsters. I'm like, is that real too? Tree lobsters? It sounds like it's real.
Well, I hope it's real because Creeper made songs up about them.
Man, I love that someone's finally using Creeper again. It's like, yeah, he's like the Joker, but funny and a good guy. Sometimes. I love, too, his whole crew there, where it's like, so here's everyone who's managed to survive the zombie plague, either because of biology, magic, or sheer dumb luck.
And I imagine that dumb luck is Creeper.
Creeper, and also Bane, who's reading a book. I really like Bane's design in this. He's reading a book, and I imagine if they asked him, hey, Bane, how come you didn't affect it? Bane does not watch TV, and Bane does not have a phone. Bane only reads books.
Bane does not have brain.
Yeah, Bane only reads books. The other story is actually all about Jason Todd, a character who I find so hard to like in the main universe, but shockingly, whenever any other writer chooses to deal with him outside main continuity, they actually manage to mine a lot of great material.
Yeah, when someone actually pays attention to his character and actually decides to give him a character that isn't, I wear a hood and have guns.
Mm-hmm. He's the last to find out that the whole Bat family is dead, minus Damien and Alfred. And it's really sad because it's like, oh, he's the black sheep of the family. So, of course, they never called him or texted him or anything. Mm-hmm. This is how he has to find out.
Yeah, he finds the gruesome corpses of 3 of his family, his father and his brothers, in the Batcave.
And he's forced to bury them and take care of the dog. And his eulogy is great because it shows, yes, Jason is an asshole, but he's not an asshole all the time. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, Batman's grave, father, mentor, superhero, bastard.
Yeah.
That's fair. I think even Bruce would have to agree. Yeah, this is pretty fair. Yeah, you got my number on that one, Jason. I'm all those other things, and I'm a bastard. Then he steals the Batmobile. I was like, he never did let me drive the car. And then he goes to try and save the other members of the Bat family, who here are Cassandra Cain and Gordon. And I love the idea that Batman considered Gordon part of the family, even if that also meant that he's been spying on him this whole time.
I like what Jason says. Like, Batman, he's kind of like, when it comes to, he's not socially adept. When he tracks you, it really means he loves you.
He's an emotional cripple there. I promise this sounds creepy, but it's not. Oh, also, your daughter is dead. And yeah, I know who your daughter is. And that's because Bruce Wayne is Batman and I'm Jason Todd and we're all these other people. Good luck dealing with that.
Yeah, he then finds that Joker is dead, and because of it, he's angry. So he straps Joker's corpse to the front of the Batmobile because, of course, Jason Todd would do that.
It's the apocalypse, as he says. Don't judge me. And that's Schrodinger's or what is it, Chekhov's corpse right there. The Joker's gonna reanimate and be chasing them around by the end of this.
Yeah, or it could be like a Michonne thing where he's tied to the front of the car, but he's alive.
Also, just fun to see Cassandra Cain and stuff in her classic Batgirl suit.
Yeah.
And she can talk a little, not a lot, but can talk a little.
A little, yeah.
And again, what she says is the most heartbreaking. It's fun, too. They go to Bloodhaven thinking it's going to be better. It's not, but they find an orphanage overrun, and they're like, oh, this is as good a place to die as any. Let's make this be our final stand.
Yeah, and they team up with the orphans in there, which kind of makes sense since they're all orphans in a way.
Yeah, in their own way. I like that, and we orphans got to stick together. It's also, there's a sad undercurrent, too, where it's like, well, how come these kids didn't change? I'm like, oh, because they're orphans. They're so poor. None of them actually own any screens. Ah, right. I get it.
Yeah.
No screens for you, orphans. You also have to read books like Bane.
Bane
Good luck with that.
In the new world, once the virus is over, Bane will become the educational overlord, banning TV and movies and instilling books and.
He'll teach literacy, and he's like, all right, my pequeños, this is what you do. You got Shakespeare in one hand, Vonnegut in the other, and you read and you lift.
You must break the book.
Yes. You know how people say break books? Here we will do that literally. And you will get big and strong. Oh, we need fan art of that Bane English teacher. He's like wearing like one of those sweater vests that he's like cut off and everything to show off his muscles. He's got a little corncob pipe and everything. Yes, read the books and get strong. Grow your body and mind.
Venom doesn't run through these veins anymore. Knowledge does.
Education. Learn. Love it. Love it to death. Tomorrow we will be breaking bigger books. Thank you, Bert Something, for following. Appreciated. But yeah, Unkillables is super cool, and I like that it's only 3 issues.
Yeah.
So it's not going to overstay its welcome. And I think after this, it's basically going to be done, yeah, unless we get a sequel and follow them to wherever they went in space.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's set up for a sequel. I'm sure they probably will do, but they're probably seeing how well this sells first.
You know what they should do? They should set it like 10, 20 years in the future, so John and Damian are adults now, and they make it the big, return to, DCeased, return to the zombie Earth.
That'd be pretty cool.
To see how stuff has evolved since then, or devolved, depending on how you look at it, because some people stayed behind.
Yeah, like Ivy and Harley, they stayed behind. We don't see what happened to them. We might see what happened to them in this book, though.
Yeah, we very might well. So that's some cool shit. I liked this one.
Yeah.
This was good. Tom Taylor killing it, doing good stuff.
Yeah.
Or not killing it in this case, because they can't die. The opposite of killing it. What else did we have? Ooh, we had Wolverine #1 this week, the much-touted Benjamin Percy premiere issue, which is actually 2 issues for the price of 1. Yeah. Actually, no, 2 issues for the price of 2. This one was actually quite expensive.
I have only flicked through this. I haven't fully read it yet.
All right, I will try and sum it up without spoiling too much. So the first story actually takes a page out of Old Man Logan, because Wolverine wakes up from an X-Force mission, doesn't remember anything, and all of his teammates have been killed by him.
Yeah. One story is going to be like the like a detective sort of mystery, and the other story is like a horror, isn't it?
Yes, the first one is very mutant noir. Yeah. We find out that Wolverine and X-Force were investigating this drug cartel called the Flower Cartel that has been stealing petals from Krakoan shipments and using it to create a brand new super street drug called pollen.
Nice.
Which gets you high as fuck, but is super addictive and super fleeting. And so they got like an FBI agent called Jeff Bannister who's investigating it, and he literally just looks like Jeff Bridges. He is 100% Jeff Bridges in a Hawaiian shirt, and Jeff Bridges really wants to take down the drug dealers because, as we discover, his young daughter has leukemia, and she's actually in line to get some of this life-saving mutant medicine, so he's really pissed off at the people who are stealing the petals and turning it into drugs.
Okay, cool.
The DEA and the American government, of course, jumped to the completely wrong conclusion that surely if Xavier and the mutants are selling the legal drugs, they must be behind the flower cartel and selling the illegal drugs too.
I mean, I could see why they would draw those conclusions, seeing as that, like,
Same.
Xavier kind of said he wanted to do something exactly like that.
And the fact that Sebastian Shaw is selling the legal drugs through illegal means anyway, they literally do have a drug cartel set up. They're just not doing it this time.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a minute, Party Pug. Thank you for the cheers. We'll definitely get to that. We find out that the Flower Cartel is led by a mutant naturally called the Pale Girl, and she can take control of your mind, and she likes to take control of people's minds and have them mutilate themselves.
Yeah, very fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Not a great person, and assuredly that's what she did to Wolverine. She got into Wolverine's head and got him to kill everybody.
Yeah, I did see those pages with like in the snow with where he's like kind of like tracking her, and I thought they look brilliant.
They were really nice. That's because there's two artists. Victor Bogdanovic did one of these.
He's the second guy.
Okay. I actually have a couple degrees of Kevin Bacon with Victor Bogdanovic, because I do a show with Sal from Comic Pop. Sal's indie comic was actually drawn by Bogdanovic before he started working for the major companies.
Nice.
Yeah. It's funny how that works. Again, what did I say about the comic industry? Small and often incestuous.
Yeah.
So that's the first story. It's pretty fun. Again, I like this whole mutant noir crime story. Percy does that very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does.
And then the second one is the horror story. This one actually features Omega Red quite a lot, because he comes through the portal to Krakoa. He's covered in blood, and he's like, "Hey, Asylum, want it? Give it to me. Gimme." And Wolverine's like, "Fuck off, get back out that portal before I kick your ass." Only for Magneto to show up and be like, "Hey now, Wolverine, you can't do that. All mutants are welcome here, even if you don't like them."
That's what I was gonna say, because I was gonna say, like, they're picking and choosing who they give immunity to, but yeah, Magneto's just like, no, he, even though he murdered someone, we let him in.
Well, it's funny, Wolverine and Magneto really get into it. Wolverine's like, friggin', you can't have Omega Red here. He's a kill-crazy maniac. He's literally a living weapon. He's killed so many people, to which Magneto's like, "Bitch, for real? You're a living weapon. You've killed so many people." People in adamantium houses shouldn't throw stones. And he's like, no, but like Omega Red literally needs to kill people to stay alive. He's basically a vampire. To which Magneto says, yeah, sure, he showed up covered in blood, but actually, believe it or not, most of that blood isn't his. Or most of that blood is his, actually. And we find out that Omega Red was seemingly attacked by vampires, French vampires.
Oh, the worst kind.
The worst kind. Pourquoi? But why? The idea is, because Wolverine teams up with a French vampire hunter, and the idea seems to be that while the rest of humanity is worried about mutants and the growth of Krakoa, Dracula and the vampires have literally gone underground into the catacombs of France and have been growing their numbers bigger and bigger.
Okay, so what happened with Dracula even mentioned, like how he was like trapped in Chernobyl and everything?
They do, actually, because
Ooh.
The big stinger at the end of this is we discover that the vampires really wanted some of Wolverine's blood, because Wolverine has the best blood in the world that can cure basically any disease, works for any transfer patient. They even give it a special designation. He's called Blood Type E for Endless.
Yeah, and it even tastes like Mountain Dew Code Red.
Which is the best kind, naturally. And yeah, Dracula wanted some of that for himself, because once he, pumps himself up with Wolverine blood, he can walk around in the daytime.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which means he's lost a huge weakness, and we also discover, hey, Omega Red was actually working for the vampires all along. The vampires now have a sleeper agent inside Krakoa.
Oh, no. Curse you,
yeah.
And if only they had rules that like governed who they let in or not, this wouldn't happen again.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal, Omega Red. Although they imply that Omega Red doesn't actually want to be working for the vampires because Dracula gives him that synthesizer he's always after, so he doesn't always have to kill to survive, but he'll probably do it anyway. But as soon as he puts it in, Dracula's like, oh yeah, we put a bomb in that, in case you're wondering.
This has me wondering if like maybe they're gonna like the mutants will find out about it and be like, well, we'll take that off you and just like grow you a new body that doesn't need to feed off like blood.
It's true. It becomes the question where it's like, how much does Omega Red actually know about what's going on in Krakoa?
Yeah.
And does it even matter for him? Because again, he is a psycho, and it's like, oh no, but I like drinking people to death. It's super awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, they're gonna have to deal with that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of places they could go for that. But yeah, Wolverine off to a really good start with two very interesting stories in and of themselves.
Nice. I'm glad to hear it was good.
Yeah. And again, if you're only reading X-Force, you should pick this one up too, because again, it's the same writer and there's a nice lot of connective tissue between them.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. What else did you have, Matt?
I had Superman Smashes the Klan issue 3.
I keep meaning to go back and read that. I read issue 1, missed issue 2, but I gotta read this too. How is it?
This is a great issue. This is more of sort of same stuff with Superman and Roberta and the Daily Planet fighting the evil clan of the Fiery Cross. And the story is seemingly wrapped up really quickly with them getting sort of thrown in jail. But as we learn, the jail, like the people in the jail, are kind of in on it as well, so they end up getting free. But what's really cool is they sort of tie all the loose ends together in the one story, which one of the loose ends was Clark finding like his parents were aliens, but they weren't really, they didn't look like aliens. They only looked like aliens because he was under the influence of kryptonite. He actually goes back to get the little phonogram thing that came with him, and he finds out that it cracked open when he threw it in the lake in issue 2, and the crystal has grown out of it, and at the bottom of Lake Solitude has grown his fortress.
Oh, that's clever, because this is such a golden age take on Superman. A bunch of the stuff we know hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, so he goes there and he learns to accept his alien heritage as well as his human heritage, and because of that he learns to stop limiting himself, because he was limiting himself to make himself appear like a heightened it made him sort of act more human, so people would accept him, because if they knew what else he could do, they might brandish him monster and all that sort of stuff.
Because he was playing by golden age rules. He was only faster than a locomotive, more powerful than a speeding bullet. Reverse that, you know.
But without the limits on him, he can now fly. He's got heat vision. He's basically just Superman, the modern day Superman.
That's so fucking clever, and to tie that into a bigger story about racism and immigration and everything, to be like, well, you see, Superman had to deal with his own immigrant heritage, refugee heritage, before he could actually become the true Superman American icon. That's goddamn. What's that? That's Gene Luen or
Gene Yang, the guy who wrote the new Superman, and I think he's doing the Terrifics at the moment.
Yes, I think he is too. Man, that dude's really fucking smart. I hope he wins an Eisner for this. Yeah,
it was so good, and it's even better because they cut back and forth between the Klan, and we find out the Klan doesn't really care about like the whole race thing, as we learn the leader is only in it for the money, and he's like, I actually like foreigners. If they're here, I make money off of them. And
isn't that always the way?
About the money, and the guy under him is obviously like a fanatic, so he like kills him, and it's like, no, it's white America, you know, MAGA, stuff like that.
You know what that actually reminds me of? Sons of Anarchy season 2. They did something very similar with that, where Henry Rawlings was like white supremacist Darth Vader, but like white supremacist Emperor was like, nah, man, heroin money is where it's at.
Yeah, it was exactly like that.
The only color I see is green.
Oh, speaking of green, we learned that the leader of the Klan was actually working for the health department, and he was using his influence to build kryptonite weapons to fight against Superman, because he had a theory that maybe this rock hurts Superman because Superman might be an alien. And
let me guess, the girl's father was working for the scientist because he came to town to get the science. Just see, I even picked that out in issue 1. Where I'm like, let me guess where this is going.
Yeah, but he left. But that Mr. Lee left the the office after learning what they were actually doing. And it's great because the whole issue of Roberta has been sort of like deciding whether she wants to be an investigative reporter like Lois, and this is like her first story of breaking this and becoming a cub reporter for the Daily Planet.
That's really friggin' cool. Man, they should make this into one of those animated movies, but I'm afraid they'd fuck it up, even though it's like 3 medium-sized issues. I think they could turn this into a really great movie, actually.
Yeah, I have a feeling they wouldn't want to do the art style, which is it's an animated art style.
Very much so. It looks like a cartoon already.
They do it like their usual Young Justice stuff, which would ruin it.
Everyone would have a big neck, a big Brock Lesnar neck.
I would actually absolutely love like a follow-up to this series, not an ongoing, but maybe like a little like 12-issue maxi. Just like now we got a full-fledged Superman. We got these new characters who want to be reporters, and like what else do they tackle? You could do, because it's still set in the 40s. You can still do all those golden age sort of stuff.
You could, yeah. What you're telling me is that in only 3 issues they build a living, breathing, functioning Superman universe.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, what's Luthor like in this universe, I wonder?
Exactly, you could do all that sort of stuff, and the best thing is these 3 issues just build that like Superman origin, so you don't have to like do it like this last issue. We find out, he gets his costume after meeting the mighty Samson in a circus and learning that like the guy wears a costume because it makes him feel like it takes notice off of him because the costume is colorful and everything. You learn all this all this stuff that didn't need to be in there, but when it's in there, it's really good.
I like that a lot. Maybe look at other Superman radio plays and be like, all right, what else can we take from here?
Yeah. Build a whole universe off of it.
Superman smashes Al Capone and what is it, Prohibition?
Superman would probably be for Prohibition.
Yeah, in this universe, maybe. But maybe he has to learn a lesson. Maybe drunk Batman comes on and is like, free choice, people should be able to do what they want.
Yeah, oh no, Ma Kent has gotten into the booze again.
Yeah, oh no. Yeah, what other stories can we do? What other social ills can Superman tackle in the 1940s? What else can we do? Man, I watched such a great PBS documentary, actually, on Prohibition. It's on Netflix not too long ago, and they kind of broke it down to be like, actually, there was a super racist component to Prohibition, too, because so many Irish whiskey makers and German beer makers, white Protestants, were super pissed at them and saw them as, like, alien invaders making all the money off it, so they're like, stop with the booze now. Yeah. Jeez. And I'm like, man, does everything in American history come back to racism? And according to PBS, yes.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Yes, it kind of does. Man, that sounds so good. I definitely want to check that one out now that it's done.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. Probably my favorite Superman book in the last year.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it has very little competition in that regard, but yeah. I don't think you were alone in that either, Matt. I know so many people were so hyped and excited for this book because they're like, oh, thank God, something different for Superman. It's about fucking time.
Yeah.
All right, what else did I have this week? I had Guardians of the Galaxy #2.
Yeah, I did as well. This was a great issue.
Man, they did some very unexpected stuff here, didn't they?
Oh, boy, did they ever.
We get to see a little bit more of these like supercharged Olympian gods, and some of them are really fucking horrifying, like Hephaestus, who's been making human dolls.
Oh, that was creepy as fuck.
Boy, that was. What else did we see? What is it? Phyla-Vell gets a truly wonderful scene where, Nova's really hurt, and she's like, okay, I can go back to the space station and back everyone up, or I can get him help. Oh, I know. I'll ask Moondragon in our little mind palace, which is this adorable coffee shop. And Moondragon's like, I know what you're going to do. I love you, and you're a hero, so naturally you're going to do the right thing and save Nova. It's like, thank you. That would be that's fun. That's good stuff. And what happens with Star-Lord, Matt? Some crazy shit happens with him.
Well, what doesn't happen with him? He gets attacked by Athena and gets an arrow to the knee, kind of.
His adventuring days are over.
There is an arrow to the knee joke in it, and I'm like, wow, this is like 6 years too late.
Doesn't seem like something Al Ewing would write. Doesn't seem like Al Ewing plays a lot of video games, but I could be wrong.
Maybe that's why it's in there. Oh, people are talking about that arrow in the knee thing.
Maybe just the meme like penetrated his mind after all this time later. It's like, why do
Yeah.
people keep talking about arrows and knees? That's fun. I'll put that in there.
Yeah, so ends up confronted by Hephaestus, who demands to know how the bomb works because it's not from his universe. So he never built it. So he wants to know its inner workings so he can basically build his own.
He thinks it's super cool, and
Yeah,
Star-Lord tells him to go to hell. It's like, oh, we call that Hades here.
yeah, and Star Lord ain't gonna give anyone shit. So he ends up killing the god by taking the arrow out of his knee and shoving it through his throat.
Stabbing him through the eye, to which even Zeus is like, did you just kill a god?
I like that when Zeus comes, it's like, dude, what the fuck have you done? Look what you've done.
Also, too, we see with Athena, she's kind of gone crazy on all this new god power, and she makes a crazy prophecy that I feel is almost certainly referencing Empire that's coming up, because Al Ewing is writing that too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally.
Talks about two lovers who will be torn apart by a war, and I'm like, oh, she's talking about Wiccan and Hulkling, isn't she?
Yeah. You could see it as that, but you could also apply that to the Guardians, where it's like, oh, Gamora and Peter were torn apart by this war.
Also, that could also be a thing too.
Maybe it's like a dual thing.
Means double. Yeah, that could also be a thing too. They also seek to imply that Hercules has new powers now too, that he's just learning about.
Yeah, I'm excited. Oh, I'm so glad Hercules is now part of the Guardians. That's so cool.
Me too. It's nice to know Ewing was the one who was batting for Hercules in all of those weekly series.
Yeah.
That he gets to hang out here. Some fun stuff with Star-Lord too. He finds a setting on his elemental gun that he didn't know he had. He's remembering wars that he half fought in. And then he once again sees the image of Master of the Sun, the guy who gave him the title of Star-Lord in like his most original origin story.
Yeah, he's kind of starting to remember to be the old Guardian, the old Peter, which is really confusing. I'm wondering if it has anything to do with this, because the whole thing with Olympus is it goes to like another reality and like it's dimensions and stuff. So maybe something to do with that.
Possibly. My thinking is like, oh, we're not getting a new Guardians movie this year, so Al Ewing came in and said, hey, I want to do Abnett and Lanning stuff. Can I do that for like a year? And they're like, yeah, sure, go for it.
That too. That could probably be it as well.
Do whatever you want for a little bit, change up the team, which they have right now. It's Rocket, Moondragon, Hercules, Phyla-Vell, and Nova, who may or may not make it out of this. We're not sure.
Yeah, he was pretty badly fucked up.
I kind of like that, of just completely changing up the Guardians roster, because it's been the movie roster for so long.
Yeah, and it all started with that with the Donny Cates run, where he had just like any cosmic being he wanted on the team.
Yep. Because again, too, it's like the Guardians you know and love from the movie aren't even the original Guardians. No. There was a whole other team before them even.
That's the thing. Yeah, we could see them coming back.
That would be fun. I would like to see Ewing's take on those characters.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Guardians continues to be really good. And like Ewing's other work, the aspect that I truly enjoy about it is that I have no freaking clue what's going to happen in any issue.
Yeah, well, yeah, at the end of this issue, they seemingly kill off Peter Quill.
Yes, seemingly, which I'm like, that's pretty fucking huge.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if he is actually dead. He's probably in that like weird. What I said in my review, I'd love for him to be in that, like he somehow got taken into that weird reality that they use, and he's now like he's been captured by Zeus, and he gets like turned into one of those like dummy things by Hephaestus. Like a general for them or something.
I mean, is anyone ever dead in comics? The answer is no.
Yeah.
There's actually a really great joke about death in comics from Captain America this week, but I'll let you do one and then I'll come back to that.
What did I have? I had Flash Forward issue 6.
Oh yes, the big finale here. What happens with Wally, Matt? How can I be mad about it because I haven't read it?
Well, so that's the thing. This book was spoiled like weeks ago by that Generation Zero book, which is a shame.
I know.
It's a shame.
DC spoiling themselves.
I don't know why they did that. Yeah, but this issue, the Mobius chair appears to Wally. Wally has had like time with his kids on this weird sort of wasteland world that they were trapped on. He finds out that to heal the universe, he has to sit in the Mobius chair. Because the Mobius chair needs a user basically, and it will be able to have
sitter.
Yeah, it needs a sitter.
It needs an ass. It needs an ass to power itself. Only your ass, Wally West.
And yeah, it'll heal the dark matter out of the multiverse and save everything. Wally agrees to do it only if Tempest takes his children back to Earth Zero and gives Linda Park her memories back and all that stuff. He does that. He takes them back and reunites them with their mother, who now remembers who Wally is, who her kids are, and everything. So they're left on Earth Zero.
I was not expecting that.
Neither was I. I was expecting, Wally needs to like slowly eat his children to exactly. to save the multiverse or something, and then
only if you kill your family, Wally.
Yeah, something like that.
Kill them all, Wally. It's the only way. You already killed before. Why don't you kill a little more, you killer?
So yeah, he sits in the chair, and because of that, what happens is his mind gets, because when you sit in the chair, the chair's, all the knowledge the chair has downloads into your mind, and because of that, you lose all of your memories. So while he has saved his children, he no longer remembers them.
Of course, we had to. You couldn't have it all. You got your cake, but you're not allowed to eat your cake, though.
And as we learn from the chair, which speaks to Wally, obviously it had Metron, Batman, Owlman. All of the Metron was killed by Dr. Manhattan, who then touched the chair and kind of imprinted his own powers and mind onto the chair, like shared his knowledge with it of what will happen.
That's a bit of an ass pull. You don't have to sit in the chair. You just have to brush up against it and it gets all your knowledge.
It's Dr. Manhattan. It makes sense. It's Dr. fucking Hatton.
You see, well, because Dr. Manhattan exists at every moment in history, his ass theoretically exists at every moment in and around. Yeah. His ass is touching in the chair. You don't know.
Really, his ass covers the whole chair, like on all different points. Yeah.
In history, you don't even know. Sure, why not?
So because of that, he gets knowledge of like the doomsday clock stuff and like what's going to happen with the universe. But because of all of this, the chair now no longer wants to just observe. It wants to take part in the multiverse.
So it's becoming the Watcher now.
Kinda, yeah. And it seeks to imply that it and Wally will be doing something. Because Wally, his costume turns blue and he gets the Manhattan symbol on his head.
Right, which means we don't have to use Dr. Manhattan again, but we still kind of get to use him.
Yeah, well, apparently we'll find out what will happen with him in Flash issue 750.
Interesting. I thought we were going to see that in Generation Zero because he's featured so prominently there. I like, too, it's like, Wally, you need to sit on the chair to heal the dark matter from the universe. Does this have anything to do with death metal and what's going on there? Maybe. We don't know. Possibly.
We'll tie it in if it's successful.
There's a lot of things happening right now in the universe. We don't know.
We don't even know what's going to happen now because our editor's no longer there.
Also that. But will Wally be the man to do the 5G? Is he the... Maybe, we don't know.
Yeah, and again, I said on Twitter, like, DC have just made him arguably the most powerful character in existence in the DC universe, and fans still are not happy.
Because we didn't want him to be a god. We wanted him to be the Flash. Why, DC? Why do you come so close to giving us what we want but not giving it? You know, I'm actually fine with this because, again, what they've done to Wally is almost, well, it is hilarious. The weird thing he says, like, okay, he's back and he's the most important character. He's going to save the world. Okay, he's actually going to go crazy and kill a bunch of people by accident and then lie about it. Okay, then he's going to go through the multiverse and become God. And then his family's going to be okay, but he can't be with them because memory loss. It's like we know he's important and we want to sell him to fans, but also we have no interest in giving the fans what they want with him. It's the damnedest thing.
Well, that's the thing. Now with Didio gone, like, that could easily change.
Potentially, yeah. Maybe at the end of all of this, he gives up the power and becomes himself again. And just give us another Flash book. Is that too much? Just 2 Flash books? Like, that's the future people want. They just want 2 Flash books. The ability to read the adventures of Wally and read the adventures of Barry.
Oh, you want Wally Flash? Okay, we'll put Wallace in here.
There you go. The other Flash kid. You wanted him, right? I mean, he's fine, but no, we want the other one. Is he in a book right now? The other kid, Flash, is he still on
Yeah,
that Titans book?
no, I'm not sure in Titans. I know he's in Flash.
Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad they didn't throw him away.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Party Pug says, it's amazing the lengths editorial went to give the finger to Johns. It sure is. You're the hope, Wally. You're the everything. No, you're not. The fuck you are. Good times. I guess the last new book I read this week was Justice League 41.
Was this week or last week? I
That was
honestly
this.
can't. Oh, really? Was it this week? God damn it.
Yeah, you didn't miss much, honestly.
Yeah, no, I did read it. I just couldn't remember if it was last week or this week.
That's fine, because ultimately not much happened.
No.
The Eradicator, the Daxamites are fucking shit up. The heroes are trying to stop them. Madame Xanadu is being weirdly unhelpful to the heroes.
What I found weird about that thing is that Batman just didn't tell her what's happening. He was like kind of beating around it. Like he mentioned like, oh, it's an invasion, but then went on about like King Arthur and tried to relate it to something Xanadu would know. I'm like, just tell her the world's being invaded by superpowered supermen.
He talked to her like how like soccer mom tries to talk to someone at like the Asian deli. If I talk louder and slower, will you understand, Madame Xanadu? What if I genuflect, show some respect, get down on one knee? Will that do it? And apparently, yes, it did. Apparently, that was all it took.
Yeah, whatever.
And which again, she comes and she helps and she defeats the Daxamites, and I'm like, all right, cool, that's right, they're weak to magic. You know who's not weak to magic though? The Eradicator, the guy who's running them, because he's a robot. You guys really didn't think this through, did you? Maybe you should have called in Cyborg.
Half the problem.
Yeah, still not the main problem, who can still beat the shit out of Superman, thereby can beat the shit out of you. You guys should maybe have called Cyborg or the Metal Men or someone to deal with robot problems. And then weirder still, Madame Xanadu's like, oh, we're getting out of here, everybody. But Wonder Woman gets taken captive, and I'm like, first, Madame Xanadu was unhelpful, then Wonder Woman gets taken captive. Is Vendetti going through a divorce or something? He sure seems to be taking a lot of stuff out on the women characters. I just thought it was... Also, do you think it's weird, too? Someone pointed this out to me. I didn't even notice it until they said it. Now I can't not see it. Wonder Woman uses a sword and shield a lot in this 2 issues, even though she didn't in the previous run.
Yeah, I have to imagine it's like set at the time where like she didn't have like, I know she has them in the issue like the gauntlets, but like during like her run before like the most recent issue, she didn't have like the lasso or her gauntlets were broken. So she kind of resorted to using other things as like set then as like it's just a thing that like the writer and artist wanted to do.
Possibly. Bless Vendetti's heart. He will get all the credit in the world for this, for actually trying to tie together all these loose continuity threads. Like, okay, everyone knows Superman is Clark Kent, and, Alfred is dead in the Batman book. And, maybe that's going on with Wonder Woman and the Flash. His powers are out of whack right now. He's trying to make it work.
Yeah, I could also see like maybe we'll just use a sword and shield because she's like in a battle. Like what good is like a lasso gonna do against like Supermen? Like when she's got to fight like 10 of them at once.
I mean, the lasso doesn't work, as we see. She actually gets quite owned trying to use it. Oops. But yeah, it's a fine issue. It was always going to be a lot to come off of, what Snyder was doing when it's like, hey, it's a crisis and everything but name. I'm reinventing the universe and snuffing out whole planets. What do you got, Robert Vendetti? Alien invasion? Okay, cool. Let's do that.
It's okay, but it feels just like a filler arc. Like there's, we just got to buy time until this encore thing starts.
And you know what? Like everything at DC kind of feels like a filler arc, doesn't it? Because they're just working up to 5G and Generation Zero and everything else, and it feels like, all right, everyone, get your shit in before then, because it's not going to matter in a year.
All the books are in like a holding pattern where it's like, okay, just keep it going, just spin the wheels a little bit more, and then we'll get into it. Flash doesn't feel like it that though, because Flash actually is like a book that seems to affect everything, but no one fucking reads.
It's again, Flash is in this sweet spot where it can do whatever it wants because no one is paying attention.
Yeah, like recently we learned who that Paradox villain was, and it's the villain that like Joshua Williamson invented for the Flash War that broke out of that containment field that said Crisis on it.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's like a doctor who can like access the multiverse because he got a little touched, a little molested by the Speed Force.
Just a little touch, just the tip of the
Yeah,
Speed
and
Force.
it's really cool actually because like he's a villain who sees like Flash fucking up the timeline and all that sort of stuff, and it's like, no, that's bad. But as well as he hates the other villains as well because they technically like share his legacy, and especially like Reverse Flash and all that. So he not only just hates Flash, but he hates the villains and wants to take them all down.
No, that's kind of cool. I
Yeah.
gotta catch up on this book. You make it sound so good.
It's really good.
It's funny too, we're talking about the state of DC right now. I don't think it's any surprise that the three books we really like now, Superman Smashes the Klan, DC Unkillable, Batman White Knight, are all out of continuity.
Yeah, they're all special miniseries.
The funniest damn thing. I had one more book to talk about. What about you? And I'll make it quick.
Go ahead.
So I caught up on Captain America.
Mm-hmm. I kind of fell off of it.
A lot happened in this last arc. They finally answered the question, how is Peggy Carter alive and why is she young again?
Oh, okay, cool.
It's actually deeply tied into the origins of the Daughters of Liberty.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so the Daughters of Liberty, as we discover, were founded like in the Revolutionary times, again, around the same time as the Sons of Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all like the wives of guys like Hamilton and everyone else, as you might have expected. And the idea is, that old adage behind every great man is a great woman. And the idea is that the Daughters of Liberty came together to basically save mankind from itself and to make sure that Washington and every other warfighter would stop at a point and not just keep going.
Yeah, so steal Declaration of Independence, all that sort of stuff.
Got to steal the Declaration of Independence. Got to keep Nicolas Cage out in the yard. Yep, that whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
They imply that some of their more famous members were like Harriet Tubman and Madame Curie because they brought together warriors, scientists, and magicians. And the magician thing is very interesting because Agatha Harkness is a member, actually.
Oh, nice.
And she basically tells Steve this whole history because Steve's like, man, I really want to ask Sharon, but like I feel bad for asking and I can't ask without being a douche because I actually went through her phone when she wasn't looking. So can you please tell me, Agatha? And she tells her the whole history, and we discover that Alexa Lukin, the villain who's married to Alexandra Lukin, etc., she was alive at the founding of the group too, because she is a necromancer and she's been keeping herself alive this whole time. In fact, she was Peggy Carter's handler during the war.
Oh, Jesus.
She was the one who brought her into the Daughters of Liberty, which actually the comic reminds me of a thing that the movies didn't do. She's British in the movie. She's actually American in the comics, and I totally forgot this. I totally forgot this. And Alexa Lukin's like, okay, Peggy, your first mission, get close to Captain America. He's the greatest super weapon in the world right now. We got to make sure he stops once World War II is over, which throws Steve into a total nightmare thing where it's like, well, did she ever love me or was it just a mission?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really cool. So, yeah, like, does it explain, like, what would have happened if, like, Steve had lived through World War II instead of getting frozen?
They kind of sidestep that one because you're right, he gets frozen, and I guess we'll never know what happened. But eventually we discover that, him and Peggy talk it out and everything, and she's like, look, the fact is Alexa Lukin probably wanted you to figure this out because this would be the final nail in the coffin after framing you and killing Ross that would make you go crazy. Bucky and Falcon actually already knew was the thing, and they were...
No.
And they're like, look, we didn't want to tell you because we thought it would drive you nuts, but you've actually taken it pretty well. And now that you do know that, you now know who the enemy is and what's at stake. Here's your shield back. Let's go kick the Lucan's ass.
Oh, nice. I got to catch up on this. I'm like 3 issues behind.
It actually, I think it actually reads much better. What is it, like 2 issues at a time?
Yeah, I imagine it would.
They also dealt with the Scourge storyline, and they implied that U.S. Agent has picked the next Scourge.
Ooh, interesting.
Or Scourge. I keep saying Scourge, but it's Scourge. It's the U-R and G, like George, that fucks with me every time. But yeah, Captain America is good, and I can't wait to talk about it. And yeah, that's everything I read this week. And man, we're actually over our normal time. We're almost doing 2 hours.
Yeah, I don't have anything else I read this week yet.
All right, so I guess we can start winding this one down then. So again, thank you everyone for coming and joining us on this Sunday night. Always appreciated. Glad you enjoyed it. I see Stank Finatra joined us here right at the end. I'm glad you were able to make it out for an episode. Thank you as always for doing those fun edits that we do. Thank you, of course, our sponsors. Check them out down in the comment section below. And if you have anything you want to sponsor, podcast, Kickstarter, anything, naturally I'll want to vet you. But if you make it past my vetting process, then yeah, you can sponsor a show yourself in the future. So that's much appreciated. As always, be sure to follow Matt and myself on Twitter or Facebook so you always know what we got coming up next. If you're a patron, you'll get to listen to this first before anyone else. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month. Anything else, Matt? Anything else you want to say? Any new projects you got coming up?
I actually started a new project this week called Retro Review. I'll be.
I know you did. That's what I asked.
I'll be looking at older comics. I'm taking recommendations. If you have an older comic, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, if it's digital, I'll be able to do it. I'll go back and review those comics. The first one I did was Superman Red Sun, since we have the animated movie coming out.
When does that come out? I might actually check that one out.
Well, by the time the show goes up, it'll be already out. It's out in the next day or so.
I'm worried about their adaptations, but the trailers for that one actually looked pretty good.
I just hope they keep the ending intact, and I don't think they will.
Is DeMathis writing this one? Because usually the DeMathis written ones are pretty good.
I want to say yes.
I feel like he's written like the last 4 or 5 DeMathis.
Yeah. Oh, he didn't write the Death and Return of Superman. That was Peter Tomasi, and that was pretty bad.
Yeah, I know, right? So it's not always assured if you get the writer you like.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Be sure to check that out on Matt's channel, everybody. And with that, I will start winding down the show. So thank you so much for watching and listening. Be sure to join us next week, either live Sunday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch, or Wednesday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time over on the Cape Joel channel.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye. Yeah, bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.